Thank you, Rohit. So first of all, happy Independence Day to everyone. And before starting this, let's first introduce ourselves. So I'm just sharing my screen. Okay, so let's first introduce myself, and then we will introduce our other panelists, and then we will start the panel discussions. So my name is Chetan Soma. I'm working with Education First as a Scrum Master. I'm having 8+ years of experience, and majorly I'm working to build like teams on Agile and Scrum, Kanban, different kind of frameworks, and working on their team buildings. I'm organizing some activities to work on those things. I'm also working with ANI as a volunteer from a couple of months. Now let's start with our first panelist, Akshita.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. Wish you all happy Independence Day. I am Akshita, co-founder and COO of Pixwait. Pixwait is an AI-based video analytics product startup, and we started about 5 years ago. And we are into solutions like face recognition and license plate recognition-based analytics, and several other vision-related analytics for surveillance. So prior to starting Pixwait, I have worked across startups and growth stage businesses from I am Ahmedabad's investment center to Technoserve and Barracks. I've handled business development and investments previously. Happy to be in this panel.
Thank you, Akshita. Badri?
Okay, so this is Hari Prakash. Happy Independence to everybody. I run as of today 2 companies, Opcode and Ridealai. Opcode is into trading consulting, and through Opcode we have done many large-scale transformation at ABB, PayPal, Cisco, and currently we are doing it at Mavenir. So it's a long-term engagement. And another company, Ridealai, started about 5-6 years back. Started with carpool, bike pool, shifted to cabs like Ola and Uber, and right now we are also providing drivers. You can download the app. We don't cancel. So you book a cab, basically no cancellation whatsoever. So that's the USP. And prior to starting last 10 years, I've been an entrepreneur. Before that, I did my MTech from IIT KGP, engineering from Jodhpur, and last 10 years started with Sharp, then went to STMech Electronics, then Mindtree, and then Freescale, primarily into processes, dealing with all kinds of models, name it. And I loved Agile somewhere 15, 16 years back. And from then onwards, Agile is one of the carrier, and another is the typical travel business. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hari. Indu?
Hi, good evening, everyone. This is Indu here. I am the CEO of Karmatic IT Solutions. We are based in Bangalore. We are a 17-year-old digital transformation firm, and we have launched brands in the market like Instakarma, Rails Karma, Collect Cuboid Designs, and CodeWebber, specializing in services like web and mobile app development, digital automation, business process automation, and digital transformation initiatives. So some of these sites have been ranked among the first 3 in various geographies, and we have specific core areas that we specialize in. I think my core expertise lies in product innovation, design thinking, and digital transformation initiatives. Over the years, I think we've worked and consulted with more than 1,000 businesses and applications across the world, delivering to more than 23 countries. And I personally have a lot of passion for designing and creating apps. I graduated from BITS Pilani in 2002, and since then have been running this business with my husband. And I also did a management program from IIM Bangalore, which specializes in entrepreneurship. So very glad to be part of this event and to meet you guys.
Thank you, Indu. So before starting, let me check again if Badri joined the call. Badri, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there.
Okay.
So, hello, everyone. Happy Independence Day and a warm welcome to all of you. So, I'm Badri Srinivasan. So, I'm an enterprise agile coach with Society General, and I have more than 20+ years experience in different areas relating to agile and quality. So, I have been involved with a lot of different organizations implementing agile and various related process initiatives. So, I also have a doctorate in the agile space. So, I have been focused on doing research in this area for quite some time. and I have been associated with ANI for the last 5+ years. So I'm very glad to meet all of you and look forward to a very interactive session today. Thank you.
Thank you, Badri. So let's start the discussion. Uh, share. Okay. Yeah. So as you all know about the today's discussion, it's about the current situations of the pandemic, like how the businesses and the organizations are will remain profitable and the relevance. So before starting the discussion, I just want to share some stats with all of you. Like currently, in the pandemic situations, there are the companies, there are like some industries which are totally like on the very bad situations. We have an examples like the oil rooms. And parallelly, we have a very good organizations who are running their businesses with a very good profit. Like they increase their profit from like 100 to 200 and 300%. And the recent example in these entrepreneurs is the Whitehead Junior. So this is the online coding teaching platform, which I mean, so before this pandemic, their enrollment is like somewhere around, they're increasing monthly on the basis of like 5 to 10%. But in the last 3 months, their enrollment is growth is like somewhere around 200 to 300%. And similarly, there is another startup who is also doing a very good, more than 300% of growth. That's a My Upchar. So that's a company who's basically a teleconsultations with the doctors. And similarly, there are multiple examples like Big Baskets, 1MG. So what are the things they are using and they are trying? Are they doing any kind of a change in the processes or strategies so that they can remain profitable and relevant in these situations? So that's why we set up this discussion, because here we have 4 different kind of a panelists. Someone we have Akshata, who's coming from a startup background, Indu, who's having a very good experience in the strategies and consulting and managing the teams. We have Mr. Hari, who's managing a very good cash flow in his own company. Similarly, we have a Badri who's having done a very good experience in the big enterprises, like the companies who are having like 10,000 plus employees. So let's start the discussion. So my first question on the same is like, how you guys are thinking, like how enterprises are remain relevant and profitable during this current pandemic, and what is your experience with the situations? So we will start with Indu first.
Thanks, Chetan. So I think most businesses are pretty much adversely affected due to this COVID situation, but there are definitely certain domains or target segments which are doing well, like healthcare or education. So I think each business line has kind of found a niche to stay relevant and to take up specific service lines or tweak their service models to stay relevant to the situation, so that they are able to sustain the business and continue until the situation resolves or improves. And it's a long term plan. It's not just 3 months, it's going to be like 1 year, and it's going to take another 2 years to completely come back to the normal situation, so that the new normal is going to be the normal from now. So what the businesses are effectively doing are they have to preserve cash flows. That is the most critical part, to manage the cash flows and look at how cash flows have to be managed during this period, to cut costs and to make sure that they are able to run and sustain the operations in adversities like this. This is also a time that many businesses are taking up, initiatives which they didn't get time to focus on before, like digital transformation initiatives, maintenance, consolidation of their servers or infrastructure, or, in manufacturing, sometimes consolidation of the manufacturing units, looking at what differently can be done, and a lot of automation processes which people are getting into. So these are the areas where we find people reaching out to us sometimes to assist them and adapting to the current situation. And I think this is also a good time to spend more on strategy, looking at data governance, internal processes, and productivity. And anyway, there is so much of change that if you wanted to introduce any change management programs, this is the right time to go for it. So internally, I think that's what we have done. We have driven a lot of changes in the system during this last 3 months for performance or productivity management. So preserve the cash, staying relevant, recover the cash flow, making tweaks to the business model are some of the most critical things that that I think businesses have to do and what we have done during this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Indu. Badri, how you are doing in the big enterprises in this situation?
Yeah, thanks, Chetan. So what I have observed in large enterprises is that this is a very good time for reaping the benefits of the digital transformation. So many organizations had undergone digital transformation earlier, and as part of that, they have started a lot of new initiatives in digital transformation, and the effects of that are being visible now. You could say that the automation of processes, whatever large processes are there, they're automating it so that they're reaping the efficiency and the effectiveness of that. So that's one important thing that the organizations are doing. And they are also looking at upskilling and reskilling their existing employees. This is a time when people can get reskilled and look at new skills, how they can upskill themselves and things like that. It's another area that large enterprises are looking at in this COVID situation. It's definitely going to take at least a couple of years. So maybe 2022, they will all try to come out of it. So it's going to take quite some time. So organizations are trying to see how to optimize their existing processes, especially large enterprises. A small change can lead to a big difference. So it's a multiplier effect. So you could look at the optimization of process to cost optimization. The cost optimization leads to definitely savings. So there are two ways by which organization can do their revenue. One is through greater revenue, another is through lowering of the cost. So at this point, when getting revenues is slightly difficult, they look at optimization of cost and see how they can manage that so that people are not laid off. So it's important that the organization sends the right message to the society and to other members saying that despite this situation, the pandemic situation, we are not laying you off and we are able to manage with whatever we have. We just expect something in return. You put in a bit more effort and we will see how we can manage to come out of this crisis. So that is one of the important things large organizations look at, but it's not the same across all the organizations. Some of them obviously have laid off some people, so it varies. But overall, if you look at it, large organizations who are prudent and focused and able to manage risk and are conservative, they have been able to come out of this pandemic. They'll be able to come out of this pandemic in a better way. Yeah.
Thank you, Badri. So let's move to Hari. I mean, how the current situation is impacting in their businesses. So Hari.
So Chetan, for us, experience has been really overwhelming. Means every parameter in cab business is negative. We were in pools is gone because you have government limitations. We are doing just 5 to 10% of February 2020. Even unlock has started, but that unlock people minds are locked with the COVID. So even only very essential travels are happening. In fact, during the first unlock, we were doing much better because a lot of people who were stuck at various places wanted to come to Bangalore or go out of Bangalore to their natives. So we introduced passes and many other things. On the team side, we run customer care operations 24/7. So that running from home because it's a lockdown, you can't come out of house. So we had our own challenges initially, but then we kind of worked it out. Everybody got mobile, laptop. That team, no issues because a technical team was already distributed. There is a person working from US or Hyderabad or so wherever we got good talent, people are there. So that is kind of distributed. So that is about the cab business. On the training side, no new contracts, but the existing contracts got extended, doing better on that. So it's a mixed thing because I run two businesses. So if one goes down, one keeps running. So overall, life is okay, can survive, cash flow can be managed. But in nutshell, that the whole experience, it's just stuck like anything. Whatever plan you had, all plans you had to change. So it has been really overwhelming.
Yeah, thank you, Hari. And it's true, like transport industry is the one which is impacted very badly in this current situation. Let's hear the opinion from the Akshata on the same, like how the smaller, the new startups are surviving in this current situation.
Right. Yeah. Thanks, Chetan. So I think the most difficult part was also the timing of the pandemic. Since it started sometime during February and March, we had a lot of projects which were planned for the next financial years getting delayed. We also knew that the first for 3 to 6 months, we will have to look at segments which are not a target segment for which we were planning for. For example, we were looking at government's certain large projects, and those were not going to come anytime soon. So we had to reorganize and refocus on enterprise segment where they were looking at automation changes, and that was one area where we would most likely find the next early customers. So there were some challenges, and what we did was, being a startup, the only advantage we had was think quick, be nimble, and launch something new which a larger organization or enterprise would take longer time. That's where we could repurpose our offering, come up with thermal analytics which is relevant, which is required during the COVID situation itself, and building a product exactly during the lockdown time was the most difficult part. So instead of arranging for our team to go back to their homes, we just rethought and said that, look, stay back and we will give you a safe accommodation and home cooked meals, help you resolve your problems of managing during the lockdown without a family, and then let us all build the new product which is to be done in the next 2 months. So those were the kind of targets. With the changing scenario as a startup, we could adapt quickly and manage to launch a new product as well.
Thank you, Akshita. Yeah, I mean, it's true. Generally, because for the new startups, we have a big issue of the cash reservations, right? Because they don't have that much of a cash reserve for a year or so. They only have I mean, different startups have different strategies. But this is a very tough challenge in the case of the cash flow, like how we should do this. So I want to hear from you, Mr. Hari, like how you are, what is the impact of the pandemic from the cash flow perspective on your business?
See, we are not very highly funded, so kind of friends and family funded both the companies. So Opcode is doing okay because training and consulting and not much means day-to-day cost. So that is okay. On the cap side, as I said, 5 to 10% of the February business. February was kind of somewhat okay for us. And so we had to reduce staff, we had to reduce salaries, we had gone to the landowner to reduce rent, and whatever cut we could took, whatever even 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000. So we have tried. So we called a meeting for the whole team, whomsoever is with us and will be there with us for very, very long. And we said that, see, this is the situation, this is the cash available, or this is the cash coming month on month. So if we want to survive till December, because when it stuck in March, we were hoping that by June we will be able to stabilize our operations, we will be able to come back on our February parameters. But now I don't see that we can come back till even December. So August is already here and the numbers are just increasing. So staff has been cordial, friends have been cordial, and customers have been cordial. We are trying to engage with them, and we see that we can survive till January or February, and by that time we will come back to the new normal. So we have launched certain new services. So overall, we are just trying new methods, new ways, new revenue streams, how to reduce expenses. And somehow we are surviving. So survival has been an issue. Growth is what is impacted, which we would like to see in near months.
Thank you, Hari. So Badri, I mean, how is the impact of this current situation on your business? I mean, in the big enterprises mainly.
Yeah, so in big enterprises, they generally have a long-term plan. So they look at maybe 6 months, 1 year. They have a plan in place, and they do constant risk monitoring. So they are able to forecast roughly what would be the cost, and that is then rolled down to various divisions, departments, and units. So at the higher level, wherever the risk is observed, they would optimize the cost, and that would translate to some cost savings, which will come down to the unit level. So any new projects or something, they may not start immediately. They may defer it for the future. and the existing processes, they will try to optimize that further so that more productivity could be extracted from the existing members to see how they can manage it better. New recruitments may be frozen. They may not look at new recruitments immediately unless there is a plan for that. And whatever is possible, they try to optimize the cost, which should ensure that they are able to manage the situation without retrenchment. So the key here is which industry the large enterprise is operating in, and how many members you are looking at, and what is the cash flow exposure you have at a high level, and what's the risk exposure you are looking at. So if they are already managing this to a large extent, and are they more risk prone or more conservative, the chances of coming out of the pandemic are much better.
Thank you, Bajri. So, I mean, we know every organizations and the startups, they are using their own already existing models, or sometimes they change, and they are changing because to attracting new customers. That's a one scenario. But here we have a different scenario. We have the tough situation of the pandemic. So my next question is related to the same thing. I mean, is your business model is still relevant in this situation? And if it's yes, then what are the 2-3 key challenges you are facing to be profitable during these pandemic situations? So I want to hear from Indu. Indu first, like how the consultancies will help. You are on mute, Indu. So can you mute?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
So we are into the digital transformation and digital initiatives, and I think there, this is more relevant during this period because people are consulting for automation or, going online. So what we did specifically during this period was during the initial 1 month of lockdown, we were getting like close to 20, 30 inquiries, over a period of 2 weeks for taking businesses online, services or products online for e-commerce, and we decided that why don't we make this a service which is available for people to tap on. So they just need to give us their product inventory, and we give them a customized store with a website and a mobile app front, and they can go online and start selling in less than 2 weeks, because we found that people find it difficult to build something on their own, and it takes like 2 months to actually complete creating an e-commerce store or a retail store and take it online. So we try to adapt our tweak our offerings to stay specific to the kind of gaps and the niche that we found in the market during this period. And this has helped because there are specific areas and different markets which have focus on healthcare or domains like insurance where people want to spend or invest more money in. So some of the things we had to do was to shift focus in markets. So we had to relook at, like, initially we were targeting or we were focusing a lot on the Middle East market and also startups in India. We had to shift focus to more of Europe and US and specifically look into sectors like healthcare or e-commerce or insurance, where people were still spending money and there were business expansion going on. And we get a lot of inquiries now for people who wants to actually, they were doing their business digitally. I mean, not digitally, physically, like the way you guys had seminars, like, real-time seminars, face-to-face events and things like that, or expos which were face-to-face. And now everybody wants to move online. So they come to us for creating platforms which facilitates that, or building platforms which can enable event organizers to facilitate that. So from that perspective, I think, yeah, I mean, our business model do stay relevant during this period, and it's more important to be able to be present and do business virtually and digitally than never before.
Yeah, Indu, I mean, it's true. When you're working with the multiple domains, we have an opportunity with, if we are not working with one, like as Hari said, he's working with the 2 startups. One is not working good, the travel industry, but parallelly he has another one where he can be like sustained during this pandemic. So I want to hear the same thing from the Akshata, like in the startups, how you are, I mean, facing these 2-3 challenges in the current pandemic situation, and how they are remain profitable.
Right. I think a common theme that is coming up is that we have to hedge our risks here, or spread our focus. So one primary strategy we had to do is, can we offer or introduce something more, right? Something more, more solutions which can cater to different markets or different segments. Again, the automation industry was picking up easier in US and UAE markets, and India had been slow. For us, since it is and the automation is displacing the human involvement here, India market was not ready to adapt. We realized that with the pandemic, there was no choice, and India was ready to look at and talk about our solutions. And that's where we quickly changed the business model to refocus on the new geography and the new market. We even changed our focus in terms of building long-term value proposition. So, in be it creating new IPs or getting into new R&D, and looking at how can we fund that project as well, right? So, even going for investments was not a very good option right now because it would have been very expensive in terms of equity. We saw that a lot of government-based programs, CSR activities, a lot of them funding and supporting new projects and innovations at this time. And those were some of the innovative methods we used to fundraise or fund our projects as well. So those were some of the change in their business model, and also what helped us make that as an advantage also in this situation.
Thank you. So, Mr. Hari, I mean, what are the challenges you face, during this pandemic, and how you're dealing with those things?
See, for one of the thing is now, let's say somebody wishes to travel, so they are not traveling thinking that cabs are properly sanitized or not, how drivers are. But I'll tell you other story that one of our driver has got COVID from a customer, but none of the customers have got COVID from our drivers. So, that is strange but true. And as I said, post business is gone, corporate travels are gone, in morning, evening employee transport is gone. So we added driver services that, okay, you might, although we are taking all possible COVID measures and everything done, and we are operating from last May onwards, and things, there are certain no negative or positive feedback or cases. But still, we added a driver services that, okay, if you want to go in your car, just hire a driver. Earlier, we were only into cab business. Now we are into driver business as well. We have even given many drivers left their native. So many people who had a monthly driver, they don't have a driver. So they came to us. We have given on a monthly basis drivers with a very minor, very minor fee, like a recruitment services. We provided so many people with passes, help on the passes. Government provides passes, but they were not knowing they want to go to Bilaspur, Nagpur, Thrissur, Chennai. Somebody is dying there, somebody is in trouble there. Their kids are there, they are here, or so many situations were there in lockdown. So we could help a lot of people. So, Ride we had changed, added few more services. And we are seeing that those are also moving now. We build processes around that. We build technology around that. So we got some time to revamp, re-innovate our technology, because there were certain things which we couldn't do on a live platform. But now if you release on live, there is nobody using it. So you don't see any, and within 1 or 2 days you correct it. So that is all those things done. Training business, online trainings. I'm an agile coach, work at an organization level, and provide lots and lots of trainings, etc. And we are the ambassador of F2F, face to face. We say that face to face is only matters. So we had to change thoroughly our own philosophy and understand that how do now we can't do role play, we can't do games, we can't do certain kind of exercises. So I myself molded myself, and my trainings are doing fantastic. Feedbacks are fantastic. But now I have found a new ways to engage. Take a scenario, ask opinion of each and everybody. Try to be see that people don't sleep, people remain active. So when that has helped me to survive in this online world. So that is certain changes we, as an individual, as a company, we had to do to keep ourselves relevant and maybe profitable in the near future.
Yeah, I mean, it's true, Mr. Hari, the situation. I mean, even the follow-up question is also on the same thing, like, does it require a change in the business model, like what we have? So I want to hear from Mr. Badri.
Yes, Chetan. So it does require a change in the business model. So we have the new normal. So Earlier, people used to work from home and they were looked at with suspicion. So they used to think you're working from home or you're working for home. So all those type of snide remarks, everything, it's gone now. So people have understood the pandemic has had a significant and deep impact on all the people. So they are forced to work from home now, and especially large enterprises, IT, products and services space, they are able to manage to a large extent because they were already working from home, maybe 10-15% of the employee staff strength. And what I have recently seen is even our organization, we went to work from home from 10-15% to 100% in a very short period of time once the pandemic broke out and all 100% of the staff was working from home. So that was a significant achievement with some issues, obviously, which we were able to manage. So maybe 3,000, 5,000 people all working from home is not an easy thing. And the infrastructure needs to be bolstered to support that. So that's very critical. And the working from home norm is going to stay in the future, even after the pandemic blows over. So earlier, if it is very few, maybe 10-15%, now you may have at least 50% of the staff working from home at any point in time. Already, a lot of big IT services companies have told that. So we should think that there is a lesser requirement for real estate space. So that would also translate to a greater profit for them. So from all sides, they're trying to adjust it and manage it. But yes, the new normal is working from home is here to stay, whether we like it or not. Obviously, people who want to come to office will come, and where requirements are there to meet face to face, they'll do that. But otherwise, that would be subdued, and people would work from home. So that's one thing. The other thing, the change in the mindset. So earlier, when there was plenty, people used to be relaxed and we'll do it later and things like that. But now, with a growth mindset, I am referring to people with a growth mindset. We look at how can we upskill our skills at this point in time so that we stay relevant in the current market. The market is changing constantly with new skills and new conditions. So can we stay relevant by upskilling ourselves and looking at how we can improve ourselves? So as employees, if we have a growth mindset and we focus on that, we have a good thing to improve it. So those are some of the things we should be looking at. These were typical challenges because new employees who are onboarded during this time, they are all given a virtual onboarding because of the size of the company. So you have many employees onboarding those who have been given offer letters earlier. You cannot now say, I won't give you the offer letter. Obviously, these things don't hold good for all the companies, but some of the companies, they honor their commitment. So they say that, okay, the offer letter is there, please take it, but you'll be joining virtual. So it's a different experience for the new joining. So how do we manage that? How do we cope with that? So we have come up with a lot of new schemes and new techniques to cope with that. The new employees onboarding directly, the freshers. So that's a different experience altogether, which nobody thought about it earlier. So like this, lot of novel scenarios are coming up, and that's how these challenges are being tackled. So I think yes, we need to look at the world in a different perspective.
Thank you, Badri. I'm the latest example of this in the late new joining, virtual joining. So on Monday, I have a joining in the new organization, and they already courier everything leftover stuff. So I have the content. I'm in the 9 years of my career. First time I'm joining a company from home. Now we only heard the thing of work from home. Now we heard a new thing, joining from home. So that's a new experience for me. Let's see how it goes in the new company. In the big enterprises, we have these kind of solutions where they can do that. I want to hear the same thing from Akshata, like on the startups, what kind of changes in the business model you thought we need to change or
Right. So one of the biggest opportunity we got during this situation is that we could find some great talent, especially in middle management and senior management level. Because the concept of stability and growth has changed completely, whether you are in one of the largest organization or a small place. So we found some great people who would not have been available for companies like us, and we plan to bring them on board. And as I was talking earlier, we were building a new product. We were building a long-term value for the company. And this is a great time for us to build our assets, build our talent and the team, and create that visibility about our company in the market. So what we did was find new partners, find new resellers, created more and more mind space for them, because this was one of the product they were interested to talk about us for their customers. And a lot of their existing legacy solutions were not having enough market available. So we have completely used this opportunity to one, increase our team talent and strength. Second, find new markets and find new opportunities which could have been at a later time. We have done it sooner.
No. Thank you, Akshita. Yeah, definitely. I mean, we have to engage with the new practices. Like we have a latest example of the call fit, right? Because they shut down all their gyms and workout places. So, and then they start giving the free live sessions. And on every week they are, doing these sessions with any of the celebrities, either a cricket celebrity, sports celebrities, or a Bollywood celebrity. So they started those things, and everything is free. So it's their new strategy to just retain their own their customers and do that. So I mean, I want to hear the same thing, like from Indu now. Like, what are the major 2-3 major aspects of changes in the current business model? What you are trying or you already did?
Yeah, I think one thing we kind of shifted focus to was we were a service-based company, and we were mostly, focusing on the service side. And in the last few months, we have kind of shifted focus to creating products and SaaS applications, and smaller ones which are, specific and relevant to these times. Like I said, e-commerce as a service, or we were thinking of, like, digital visiting cards. So we kind of, aligned the team to focus more on the product space. That was one. And I think in the HR practices, we had to make a lot of changes and shift, because one, we enabled 100% work from home, not only during this COVID time. We also decided that we are going to keep that as an option for the future. And we started hiring from all across India and gave them the option to, continue working from home if required, or the option to come back to Bangalore when time permits. And there is no hard and fast rule that they have to be at office. So we had to shift all our workstations to virtual workstations and, remote desktops. And we had to do a lot of technology shift there, but we did it like in a span of 2 weeks, and we were all there. We had like AWS workspaces which were remote and all that. So that was a good thing, because now we are not restricted by distance when we are hiring talent. So some technologies are there which are mainly, like, we have a lot of people available in specific cities. So now we are able to hire from there and focus more on the talent, and not just on whether they are available in Bangalore or not. And sometimes it's also much more cost effective, because they are in the comfort of their home. They are not paying rent. They don't have to worry about food. Their health is taken care of. All they need is to focus on work. And we also had to, because when you're handling people remotely, it's very important to measure productivity and performance in a much more clearer manner, because we can't measure by their physical presence in office. We have to measure by the quality of work done and the quantum of work completed, etc. So we had to align all our internal task and project management systems and tools that we use to adapt to this, and run the change management for 1 month, 2 months, and then now it's like completely set, and we know that we can use this as a future. Sometimes we have the opportunity to even hire talent from outside India. Like, we know that in Eastern Europe, like, people are available for UI UX, and they are extremely good. And sometimes using them is also an opportunity now, because we really don't have to hire people in India itself. So these are the few things that we did. Apart from that, we had to shift focus in markets. So earlier, like from India and Middle East, we had to start focusing on other geographies, other countries, as a part of the sales and marketing process. So these were the few things that we did. And I think it's very important for organizations to remain agile during this period, because the market is unpredictable. You really don't know what is going to happen, 3 months down the lane, and how exactly the recovery rate or process is, economically and even physically, movement and things like that. So people will have to stay very agile in their business processes, so that they can actually shift gears as needed to stay afloat and to maintain relevant and sustainable. So that's my thought on this.
No, I mean, it's true. From the enterprise perspective, now I want to hear from Badri. Like, what are the 2-3 major aspects of change in the current business model you're trying?
Okay, so From the large enterprise perspective, some of the important changes that I noticed, this one is already the work from home. So predominantly now all the people are working from home. So we need to see how we can facilitate remote conversations, remote meetings, remote events. Now there is a requirement for remote ability to facilitate remotely. So you have new trainings coming up like certified remote facilitator and things like that. So we have new things coming up even in the pandemic with people trying to see how they can be a good remote facilitator. So that's one aspect. And since it's going to stay for the future, people are now getting used to the remote aspects. And the initial one-time infrastructure cost of uh, having laptops for all the members, so that's important. So that also needs to be met, and we need to have a support desk available for 5,000, 10,000 people to ensure that if people are having issues with laptops, with something else, that will be taken care of. The other aspect is it's the health perspective. Earlier, people used to come to office; they had to do some physical movement. So now in the house, nobody does much physical movement. So either you are a fitness fanatic, then you might be doing something, but otherwise, very little physical movement. So your physical health and mental health takes an impact. It takes a beating. So we need to see how to manage those things. So we also have a counseling service which is open on one-on-one basis. So people can opt out for that in case they are having stress due to mental issues and things like that. So that way, when we need to see how that can be managed, so that's very critical. And the other aspect is how can we optimize the cost. So the cost optimization is very critical, and the cost reduction is very important. It's looked at, which is passed across to various divisions and how they can manage that. That's another area that large enterprises look at. And finally, the third point they would be looking at is through innovation. So looking at innovation and design thinking, how can we look at existing processes, new solutions to the new processes, and reinventing the whole thing so that we can optimize costs further. So these are some of the things that large enterprises are looked at, which should ensure that they are able to cope with these challenges to effectively respond.
Thank you, Badri. Yeah, from the enterprise perspective, it's we have multiple departments who can manage these things. As you said about the laptops, and when everyone is start doing the work from home, we have a process set up to how we can arrange these things. But I want to hear the same thing from Hari. Like, I mean, how they implemented a new strategies during this pandemic, because in the travel and industry it's very tough, right?
See, in March, April, May, there was no work. The whole team was absolutely free. So we said we have to reskill. If this work is not there, so one of the guy we started teaching tally. Now this guy is doing accounting. We can save in future on the accounting. This guy will be able to do that. One of the guy we said, okay, learn LinkedIn marketing, Google Ads, AdWords, or Facebook marketing. So this guy has learned to some extent, and some of you might have received an email also from us. Another guy is going to within Karnataka to various places, Gulbarga, Bidar, Bijapur, and Belgaum, etc. Because of quarantine policy, we are not going to other states. Because once you return from other states, you have to do home quarantine. It's a loss of productivity. So within Karnataka, we are going to other places. We are adding more affiliates. So this concept we started about 2 months back. That okay, become a business partner, become an affiliate. You refer customers to us. We will give you a certain commission. If somebody is in Gulbarga coming to Bangalore, and either whatever means, once they land Bangalore, they will have their cab ready. So booking for the bus or train or cab can be done from the Gulbarga itself. So like that, we have added a lot many affiliates and lot many will be added. We are now discussing on the franchisee model that, okay, same people who became affiliates have seen our technology, have seen our systems, our processes, our structures, and they say that, sir, we can launch in the Gulbarga itself. We don't have Ola, Uber or that kind of thing. So we are working on upgrading our technology, upgrading our processes to add this franchisee model. So there is a reskill going on. There is a franchise model going on. Now I see in August there is some pickup on the services. Some builders. See, we had many builders also who used to book through us for their site visits. So now one of the builder has signed up with us. They are starting the site visits. Otherwise, real estate got hit. So it's a domino effect on travel. I means Mamani is in Manyata Tech Park. I have not visited Manyata Tech Park in last 6 months, and out of 2,000 so employees, hardly anybody visiting. So travel is more or less may not come to the normal state in next even 3-4 months. Maybe January or something, things will get normal. But we are trying multiple methods and pretty hopeful that if we survive this period, then there are many I know who has already closed in the travel business, who are small players or etc. already closed. And we are hopeful that if we can survive, we can capture that market base as well.
Yeah, it's true. Hari. And I'm staying behind the Manila Tech Park, so I know because there are very few people are coming in the offices. So they're working on something else. Like now they are working on infrastructure. They, I mean, prepared all the roads, and now there is a one flyover they're also building. From they're connecting the airport road and the Manita. So that part is also going. So whenever you get an opportunity to visit, you will totally see a new, different Manita Tech Park. I hope you will get an opportunity very soon.
Yep,
Okay, I want
I'm
to,
trying to.
yeah, I want to hear the same thing about from Akshata. Like, as a startup, what are the new strategies they are implementing on this?
Yeah. So one thing was meeting our clients, right? So something like this had to be completely virtual, where the products which we have is highly experiential. We have to do on-site deployment to show the camera-based analytics. So we have even come up with some instances where we have gone to the customer's location and implemented, deployed the solution, and our customer is sitting at their home and viewing the results. Whatever, so we have to basically implement or take up such decisions which will help customers get that confidence in our products. Second thing was in terms of our team working on the R&D of our solution. We did not have an option of working from home. It was not possible or very easy that everybody from our team could work remotely and manage to do the R&D. So instead, we said that everyone who's staying at different places can come and stay together at a common place, so that they're not exposed to meeting new people, and we are reducing or avoiding any risk of infection. And then we can come to office, which is also not to any public transport, and that's how we can stay safe and very comfortable, so that their families are also stress free, and let them work in peace. So this is how we had to work, and again, changing the market, changing the product proposition, and introducing new products, which allows us to stay connected with our existing customers, with our existing partners in the ecosystem, staying relevant in the ecosystem. Say, for example, when government launched a competition who were looking for COVID-related innovations, we were very quick to apply with a lot of focus on it, and it helped us become one of the top 6 innovations coming out of India for the COVID. So that gave us a lot of visibility and branding. And again, this again helped us to talk to more and more customers.
Thank you, Akshita. As we have a time constraint, I mean, we can talk about this thing because we know everyone trying the new things, but we have a time constraint. So let's conclude this, and then we will be taking the Q&A sessions. So before concluding this, I just want to know, I mean, can you guys just give a 2-3 tips to our audience so they must do or try to remain profitable and relevant in this current pandemic situation? So I want to start with Indu first.
Yeah, so I think business would anyway be slow during this period, but it's very, very important to stay very close to your customers. You maintain the relationship and keep them engaged, and make sure that when everything kickstarts, they come back to you, and you're not moving away from their line of view or line of thoughts. Secondly, I think it's very important to keep the mental health and physical health of the employees, and for the company to take care of this to some extent. So we created something like an employee experience design into our HR process, where we keep touch points and we take surveys and we come to know if they are doing fine, what they find easy, what they find difficult, and we try to make small tweaks to our processes looking at their feedback. So we do this from time to time. It basically makes them feel that we are looking after them and taking care of them, even though they are not in front of us and we're not able to see them or physically connect. And it's also important during this period to focus on the experience of your customers and to know, like, how you can enhance the experience, because by doing that we have been actually able to leverage getting more business from the existing customers. So we became consultants, and then we look into their business model, their business problems becomes our problems, and we give solutions, and then we expanded the quantum of work we could get from them. So penetrating deeper and more into the same customers and trying to get business, leverage them rather than new opportunities which are difficult to get during this time. And finally, I think by collaborating with business groups and communities from the same segment has helped, because now there are grants, there are government schemes, there are a lot of ways to get help during this period from various enterprises, governments, etc. And you might be able to tap into something, because you will get a lot of resources from them who have applied, and they know the process and they know what is to be done and what not to be done. So I think these are the few things you can do to make sure that your business is taken care of during this period.
Thank you, Indu, for the wonderful suggestions. From a large enterprise perspective, I want to hear from Badri, like any suggestions for our audience?
Yes, so from what we have observed, one of the important things I've seen is from the individual perspective, the employee should have growth mindset and to focus on how he can upskill his skills and stay relevant in the marketplace because of changing market conditions. So he should take care that he's always regularly upskilling, and that's a very important thing, and he should be able to do that and keep it open so that he can switch skills as per the requirement. From the organization's perspective, large organizations are basically huge behemoths, so they are focused on learning. So they are transformed into a learning and digital organization. Most of them are focusing on digitization of the processes, which would lead to more automation and improved effectiveness and efficiency. And they are also becoming a learning organization. They are giving lots of options for all the employees to upskill themselves and build their skills. So it's up to the employees how they utilize those resources to further upskill themselves during different times. And third, last important point is the organization should now constantly be looking out in the market, even though they may have been doing it earlier, and focus on a risk model, even if they are already doing it, and see how they can track the conditions, including these platforms like the data, so that they are able to have greater business agility along with organizational agility. So, in effect, the organization should be looking at how they can become anti-fragile. So, that is when the stressors are applied on organization, how can they withstand those stressors and come up even stronger than before? So these are some of the things that they should be looking at. So these are the key takeaways for the audience. So if they can look at something like this organization and also upskilling themselves on their own, I think they'll be able to meet any eventuality in the future.
Thank you, Badri. From a startup point of view, Akshata, what will be your suggestions for our audience?
This pandemic or any such change in business scenario only helps us understand how important it is to be prepared for the future. Say, be it an automation sector which we focused on, probably would have been 3 to 5 years ahead of our time. But we realize that today's situation, we are fully ready to offer what our customers want. So as a company, we continuously need to invest in what the sector or markets would look for in future. And as an employee, we expect that they are very quick to adapt to the new changes required, new technologies that are needed. So continuous learning from the employee side, and then continuous innovation from the company side. So these are the two things. And again, we have to be prudent to make sure that we can absorb the instability by conserving cash flows, by ensuring that new funding opportunities or the new investment pipelines are ready for us, be it from the customer or any other way which is required until the customer starts paying us.
Thank you, Akshata, for the suggestions. Mr. Hari, you want to add any suggestions here?
So There are thousands of things, but let's say keep three things. Cash flow, you get investment, you reduce expenses, and you need to see that, okay, pandemic is here to stay. Only impact or vaccine or etc. may change little behavior here and there. So need to plan long term. Like we have set a number that, okay, this number per month we can manage, and up to these many months. So that is one part. Second, there were very frequent travelers. There are people who have done 200, 300 bookings from us only for airport. Now, no booking. They are not traveling at all. Everything is online. So, keep them engaged. Keep them calling once in a while, not frequently. Maybe once in 2 months, 3 months. Sir, what is going on? How things are going? Or whatever way. So we are trying new acquisitions through our affiliations, through our franchisee, through our driver services. But same time, there were so many good customers who are continuing. So customer retention acquisition is the other focus. Third is employee morale. Means my employees or my people. They have a fear that unless business doesn't improve, how long we can run on negative. So I'm telling them again and again that till December, don't worry. Whosoever is here is going to stay at least till December. Again in November, we will revisit what going on, how much going on, what we have in hand, and certain kinds of depression comes. Even me or people, we are just holding ourselves together. That okay, this time shall pass. So the three things comes back to cash flow, customer retention, acquisition, employee morale. So, and
Thank you.
hopefully
Yeah, it's a
we'll
very important. Yeah, it's a very important point. Like the mental support. Like currently, the most of the people have the same thing. Like if we are not going good in as an industry wise, few industries are doing the pay cut as well. So till what time even we are supporting them? So even they are not sure. So that mental support is a very important thing. So it's a very important point. Like we have. So now we are running out of time. So let's move to the Q&A. Thank you everyone for the interesting discussions. We have a first question from Mr. Kumar Sundaram. What will be the advice for the manager who are laid off due to the COVID-19 situation?
Yeah, I think I can take this question very quickly. So
Sure.
I think the first thing will be that try to find the companies who are catering to the sectors which are helping during COVID, right? Be it online, healthcare, education, automation. So companies like us actually are more aggressive towards hiring because we are building the mid manager and managerial level segments, the teams here, as we manage to ensure funding and investments during this time. So it is about finding those companies which are growing in such times versus the larger organizations which might be scaling down. And then there's always an opportunity if the skill sets are relevant for that company.
Thank you, Akshita. Badri, you want to add anything from an enterprise perspective?
Yes, from the enterprise perspective, yeah, definitely there will be issues, and we don't know who would be there and who would not be there. So, as I already said, we should have an open mindset, a growth mindset, and try to upskill ourselves and look at what are our current skills in the marketplace, how are we relevant, and keep track of the different organizations where we could apply in case we are retrenched. So, we should have a list with us, and we should be able to see where we fit in similar domain or different domains, and are we making a switch in our career also, different careers. It's also a good time in case you're laid off to see if we could look at something else which we wanted to do in life but we could not do because we were stuck in our earlier job for quite some time. So you can look at career change also. So lots of interesting options open up. You might also become an entrepreneur. You could start off on your own. So anything you want, you can look at. So it's just that you need to be having confidence in yourself. You need to have a growth mindset, and you should not be depressed or discouraged by the being laid off. So if you keep yourselves active through some other different avocations apart from your specific job, you will always be able to come up. Maybe you can do some freelance for some time, do some training, do something else till you get another job. So you should keep all options open. You should not close any option. That's very critical. And keep trying. And definitely, you should be able to find your another next job in a short period of time. So networking is very crucial. You need to have a good network so that you are able to connect with people, keep attending events, see what's the current pulse of the market, how are things changing, what other things are happening. If you're in the networking space and you're able to attend different events and find out what's happening, you might get new ideas, try out new skills, you might try to build your skills. So all this will really help. You should be quite aggressive in trying to find a new job, because you cannot be laid back or get into self-pity mode. That will take you to the depressed state and you might try to find it more difficult to come out. So this is where we say that individuals are anti-fragile. So that means, okay, you have laid me off. So how can I prove myself and come out better from this situation and become more aggressive and try to see in which areas my skills fit in, and keep trying till you get your opportunity closed and you're able to get a job. So we need to have a different mindset altogether. That's very crucial here.
Yeah, I mean, for the as you said about the upgrade your skills, even there are lots of organizations who are providing the online free courses like Data Center, Udemy. They are providing free uh, trainings on technology, even on IT, even for I mean, even CA, multiple areas they are doing. So we can do those things. We have another question.
Just one.
Yes,
I'd like to add one more point. See, at the senior level, mostly job comes due to network rather than skills. Skills after 10 years, 20 years, skills are actually not so much key differentiator. You know somebody, you know there's somebody. So build a network during this time. Get more connections on the LinkedIn. Maybe invest some money. Like we have been, we have never done marketing on LinkedIn, but I see in last 1 month we invested very less amount, but we are seeing some results. So network is key at the senior level. So junior level, your academics becomes more important, but senior levels, network becomes more important.
Even we have a related question. Next question that's from Priyank Pathak. Like, how to keep relevant and connected with the employees in remote?
I think I can take this question. We have right now a 45-member team, and I think there are two aspects to this. One is how you stay connected with them with regard to the work that you're doing, which is on a daily basis and a regular basis. And second is how, as HR, you stay connected to them as employees. I think we focus more on staying connected to them on at the work level, and we have used systems like Basecamp or Slack, and meetings apart from Google and the stand-up meetings which are there. And we have what we try and measure is that we have set something like a time to respond to questions with between a project or between people, and we keep that to less than 15 minutes window whenever there's a conversation happening. And we have close to probably with this 40 people like 2,000 3,000 messages which are exchanged in Slack in every work day. So that is a very high level of engagement. We know exactly what that person is and what state of mind he is in, if he is not responding, if he is not feeling well, if he needs a time off. And that, I think, has helped employees to feel very connected with the process, the projects, the client, and us. And whenever there is a smallest of hint that okay, he's not feeling well, then we route it to HR and say that okay, this person is not keeping well, probably just keep a check on him. And then HR takes over and recoup from their side and keep in touch. It could be like their family is not well or they are not well or anything, but then this kind of an engagement which is very quick, responsive, will really help keep this engagement model going with the employees. And from the HR side, like I said, we created something like an experience design where we do surveys on a regular basis with people and try to just understand from them how engaged they feel and what are the difficulties they face. Maybe it is with the system they're using, maybe it's with the manager they're working with, maybe it's with their co-peers that they are interacting with. And then we try to look at like whether we need to make tweaks to the process and let them know that we are actually taking care of it. So these are few things which has helped us, because even now I think none of the employees have said that they have felt disconnected being in different locations, or they're finding it difficult to work in this. They say that actually they find that they're more productive, they're more flexible, they are even willing to work on weekends even without we asking for it, and they take care of their work to a large extent themselves.
Thank you, Indu.
So just to take it from where Indu has left, see, I see Agile has come to a rescue for in remote, because we had a stand-up, we had a certain structure So only thing is the stand-up which used to have face-to-face move to online. Now, as a coach, earlier I used to run from 7th floor to 8th floor, from this corner to that corner to see how things are going, because I manage 25 plus teams at Mavanir. Now I just shift rooms, means virtual rooms. So 5 minutes I'm here, 5 minutes I'm there, 10 minutes I'm there, and I see beautifully everything is going. People are dot on time. If 10 a.m. is stand-up starts, it's there. Communication happens. People are become crisp on the communication. And 20, 30 minutes, all things are short. Only challenge comes when it comes to design. Now that people are forming small communication groups and trying to see, because if you have to draw something, you have to depend on certain means drawing or pictures. That also now tools are available. So remote is not an issue for technology company. It has been always there because you have distributed development anyway.
Yes.
Yeah, it's true. So let's move to the another question we have from Shivakant. How are we contemplating ensuring security of our apps or product?
So is this from an IT perspective or it's okay? So if I say from an IT or a digital perspective, there are many things, right? One is the data security that you need to take care of. And when data is running from cloud, the security practices and design which you need to set in place. So I think it's very important to do proper security architecture and proper, we have many things. I mean, one is NDAs which are set with the employees who are working on projects, and then the design of the security at the cloud level where we are enabling access remote systems. And we had to do this planning a lot from the company side to make sure that the code access and the application security design, everything is like well protected and taken care of. But if you make that as a process which is in part of your system and implement it, you can make sure that it's taken care of. And that's a very important aspect during this period, to enable the security and do the security architecture at all levels, from the application, from the configuration systems to the bare level of code management that people do when they are working.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so now we have another question from Priyank. As we all are repurposing the operations, technologies, business, etc., do you think we would, at the end of this pandemic, again face a cost of revert back again to another new normal or normal things?
So the cost has been spent already on sanitizers, on sanitizing cabs and etc., and even putting a partition between driver and the back seat. So I think that is going to go at least for another 1 year. And social distancing will continue for at least another 1 year. Even if vaccine comes, it's not going to be available so that every nook and corner you just get medicine just like that, like normal, and whatever it is. So I don't personally. This cost has already gone already. So no new cost when things really come back.
Yeah, I think one is some of the changes that would have happened during this pandemic are going to remain for a long time. So it is basically a behavior change that would have happened. Let me give you an example. So post 9/11, the process, the way the security started at the airports, especially international travel, changed forever. Before that, there was no one asking people to take off their shoes and belts and do the checking. But then post 9/11, that is something that US started and every country adopted, and it has not gone back to the old normal even after a decade plus. The same way in our business, when we have launched a thermal screening automation solution, a lot of our customers ask us, is this a short-term solution? So we say that checking for temperature and fever, we see that it is going to stay for the long term, because not just this pandemic, probably the world is getting prepared for any further pandemics also, or any other health related concerns. So that way, some behavior change is going to become a long term. Work from home is working for a lot of people, for a lot of companies. That is going to stay. A lot of processes which companies have adapted now, they are going to continue because people are used to it. The behavior changes happened, and it is becoming more and more comfortable and efficient to work a certain way. So those things are not going to change. Probably few of the ones where a physical interaction is needed, that is where a few business cost will be involved for changing back.
Yeah. From the big enterprise perspective, Badri, what is your thought on this? Like, if once this pandemic gone, how it will impact again as a cost?
Yeah. So that's a good question. So I think we may not revert back to the old thing. So it's the new normal. The pandemic has forced all the large enterprises to relook at their way of working, and it's become a new normal. So all of them would be sticking to the new thing. So the work from home culture will continue, and it's giving good benefits for the large organizations, and they're able to do a lot of things. So at least around 50% of the workforce would be working from home in the future. And the advantage of that is that a lot of new people whom they could not take, means recruit as talent, could also be recruited, and the people can be recruited from anywhere. So only when they need to meet physically, they'll do that, but otherwise they will definitely work from home. And this is already being there in the IT services and product space in large organizations, and that's expected to continue. And apart from this, structural behavioral change would be like sanitation. So if you look at India being not such a clean country, we are not so clean. So because of the pandemic, things have been forced to become clean, and people try to wash their hands and things like that. So this cultural behavioral change will definitely not go away. It will persist, and people will become cleaner. So in a way, this pandemic is helping Modi Swachh Bharat. So even though people may not help that much, so it will be helping. The pandemic will help that, and people will try to be clean, and they know that especially if they are not clean, that's going to create a lot of issues. And large organizations would put in more space for each person. They will not make it small and have very less square feet for each person. They'll have some space and all that. So that will make it a more healthier environment for people to come to office. Because even if one person is having some issue, the pandemic can affect the whole enterprise. So people will definitely take a lot of precautions, and these things are that going to stay. And this will lead to a mindset shift and a mindset change in all the people. So that way, a large actually from the financial, because with many people, the real estate cost is going to come down. So if you have an organization which is around less than 500 people, people working from home or office doesn't make much of a difference, because it's okay. I can manage 1 floor or 2 floors. But when we look at organizations which are 10,000, 20,000, 50,000, 1 lakh and more, an entire tower where each floor is populated with people would all be gone. In the sense that we could not have that tower at all, because 50% of the people are working from home. So the entire tower, the cost would be huge, and you can save a lot of real estate on that. They can plow it into profits or something else, and it makes a very big difference. So in large enterprises, any small change, the repercussions are huge, and it leads to a lot of benefits. So they will put all these risks. And the other aspect is they will also add more risk monitoring processes in place to see that they can tackle all these things and take a decision carefully. Because large organizations, because of their size, they are very specific, and they don't take decisions just like that. So they need to keep a lot of people in mind, a lot of stakeholders in mind from all sides, all directions. So they'll put all this and to the committees and various forums and see which is best suited, and then go for that. So this pandemic has definitely given them a space to try out all these experiments and move forward. So that the new normal is going to stay for the future. That's what.
Yeah, definitely. It also helps from the traffic wise as well. Like in most of the metro cities, we are facing the traffic because it reduces the travel time as well. Generally, that's the another advantage of the situation.
Yeah.
So we are taking the last question, and then we are, wrapping up this. So last question is from Rohit. Like, what KPIs will take an upper hand when we come out of this pandemic with respect to the performance evaluation? Yeah. So.
Okay. Maybe
Uh,
I can look at it
yeah.
here. So, what KPIs will take an upper hand? Yes, that's a good point. So, I think now the large enterprises, the new thing which is coming up is OKR. So, we have something called objectives and key results. So, the OKRs are the key things which we'll be looking at, and the KPIs form part of the OKRs. So, KPIs are more like you could say a short term, and they are more limited in their vision. From the visionary perspective, when we look at OKR, objectives are the higher level things which are qualitative, and we give space for the people whom we are judging for them to decide how to be judged, which is a very good social perspective where we tell that we are not forcing you, we are not judging you just because of some small, narrow KPIs. We are looking at you from a broader perspective, a qualitative perspective. We are giving you a forum where you can decide what your KPIs want to be and how you want to come up with your KPIs and then focus on that. So now what KPIs will take an upper hand, that varies from organization to organization and the context and size and things like that. So you could focus on, okay, maybe team perspective versus individual perspective, but all these things are given the space when we look at the concept of using OKRs to build the growth of this performance evaluation. So earlier what used to happen was, okay, manager decides and that's how it is and all. But with OKR, we bring inclusivity. We bring inclusivity from all people, and the person who is being judged also does not feel so bad. He feels that, okay, it's a very generic, high level objective we got. As per this, we only took the KPIs, we only met the KPIs. So it's my own buy-in, and people buy into the OKR concept as compared to the KPI. So that will decide how they work out. You can say an example. I can give you an example for this. So an objective could be in the organization. How can we upskilling the general population of the organization could be an OKR. Now, when you translate that to division at the division level, upskilling the staff with skills in Python because they are doing some data science. So we just give very high level thing. Upskilling the staff in data science, that could be an objective, and the key results and the KPIs could be number of people who are experts in Python could be 10% of the population. Like that, they can have lots of KPIs, and then they can have initiatives, regular Python code camps, Python hackathons, and things like that. So you keep breaking that down to the granular level, and it gets rolled up to the high level objective. So this ensures that buy-in is there, and people can co-construct. The employees who are being judged, they can co-construct their own KPIs to meet their own requirements for the future and thereby contribute to the objective of the division or unit. And this gives a much better satisfied feeling, even though obviously you cannot satisfy everybody. So, but it makes a difference. So that's how the OKRs will take an upper hand and it will give a better picture to the employee.
Yeah, okay, is a very good option. Indu, you want to add something in this?
Yeah, so our organization is not so big. It's like, it's always been between like 50 to 120 people throughout. So what we have is a kind of a system which is divided as key result areas, which is similar to OKR and PI or performance indices. So how we differentiate the KRAs and the PIs are meant for people who are at like, up to a certain level, mostly from the juniors to the mid employee level, and there we focus on more of their operational work related ratings. So one is their productivity, which is through a task management system, task ratings, quality of the task. And second, we have a system which ties their bug indices. So the projects they handle, number of bugs they generate, how many were critical, how many were blockers, and those scores are linked back to the performance indices and their learning curves. So we have like technology roadmap which is set, and the courses they complete there, and whether they take up the roadmap, and every quarter it gets evaluated. So we have like three areas which constitutes the PIs, which are mainly the day-to-day work, which is productivity and the quality indices, and the feedback mechanisms, which are 360-degree feedback, technical evaluations, etc. And all of this will come into a performance index rating for them on a monthly basis. And then they get to see that, okay, this is my score, and this is the average score of the team, and this is the area where I need to perform. And each of the ratings reports are visible for them with a detailed view of what each project manager rated them and where they stand with feedbacks, etc. But when it comes to the key result areas, we link it more to results than the actions. Like, it's not you can't say that, okay, I worked like 60 hours a week, but I actually didn't bring in the results which are required. So key result areas are usually tied with all managerial positions or above, like level 3 positions, and they are responsible not just for themselves. So most of their KRAs are also linked to the team that they are handling and the performance of the team itself, and customer satisfaction indices. And sometimes for marketing and sales, it is mainly like market parameters that they are linked to. Like, for marketing, it's the SEO rankings the sites are supposed to maintain, and the visitors they need to bring, and the leads that they need to contact, and all that. So we kind of, and for managers, it becomes more like, we how the performance, the project graphs are maintained and how it's taken care of. We have specific matrices we track. There, the data is driven by more of organizational objectives and key parameters, business parameters, tied down to their quantitative ratings, and we evaluate it very closely and give them like very clear feedbacks on where exactly is going wrong on a project basis, or like, on each vertical basis. This is how we kind of, do it.
Thank you, everyone, for your contribution. It's a nice discussion. Let's hand it over to Rohit again. Rohit.
Thanks, Chetan, thanks, Indu, thanks, Akshata, Badri, and Hari for being part of this panel. I believe it was a great learning session for all our participants, and we thank all our participants for being part of this for being part of this particular panel discussion. And I hope you had a great insight to take back home.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.